Hello, everybody. It's your instant match reaction. Leeds United drawing away at Deepdale in the lunchtime kickoff, and it's another lunchtime kickoff of which Leeds just can't seem to get it over the line in terms of the 3 points. Before we start the video, make sure you're slapping a like on the video, subscribing to the One Leeds fan channel, head on over to your Patreon if you want some bonus bits, football prizes, get your Christmas bundling, everybody. Entering a raffle, $3.99 as well. On top of that, we've got your Tanaka merchandise as well, which is very, very decent and is selling, and we only have a limited supply, so make sure you check that out. Football prizes, back four, and One Leeds collaboration. Right, okay, so the table looks a little bit better. Leeds go top. Burnley now can't get ahead of us. Let's speak on the positives, I guess. Ahead of that, let's start on the positives. We're probably going to make this a little bit of a you know what sandwich, everybody. I have to say, 42 points as opposed to 38 is good. We know Sheffield United are probably going to batter. They're going to batter Plymouth, aren't they? They might not, but I suppose they are. The table looks a little bit better, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we're hoping that Norwich can do us a favour tomorrow, but, you know, we know what Burnley like. I think you said, didn't you, midweek, Con? I think Burnley have got the best defensive record currently in Europe. So, you know, Norwich are free-flowing in terms of the goals that they've been scoring this season. So let's just hope they can do us a favour tomorrow. And then it'll be a nice little gap, won't it? Yeah, positives are we are back on top. You know, you'd think by our reaction, our demeanour right now, you think we're nearer the bottom than being on top of the league, but it's not been a champagne performance by any means, Connor. It was very, very poor, that. And we managed to get out of jail very, very luckily at the end. Some really poor substitutions, I think, from Farker. Didn't seem to set up his team today in the way he should have done to play a team like this. We knew exactly the kind of performance we were going to get from Preston. And to me, he just doesn't seem to have a clue away from home.
Yeah, I think this is we can't take away, really, and I know football does this to you where you almost get that sort of euphoria, and that's why it is the beautiful game. But I don't think you can take away from what we saw in that game. And unfortunately, it was exceptionally similar to everything we've seen before when it comes to away games. The positive I'm taking away from that is we've not lost, which for a Leeds United side, that literally shouldn't be the case. We should be going to Preston and winning. Similarly, it's what we're getting our counterparts doing at the top of the table in terms of Sheffield United, who appear to be doing this away form. You know, when you look at Bristol City, Blackburn, Millwall, they're putting us to shame, really. I think the thing that we were talking about during the game is obviously Farker picked up, I believe it was 9 away wins in 25 performances last season, of which was maybe the worry going into the game. Leeds not picking up the amount of points that we should be picking up with this squad away from home. It's now 3 wins in 10 away from home. I think we're saying throughout the game, there just seems to be a lack of intensity, a lack of ideas. And the interesting thing is teams set up with Leeds, low block wise. They have a low block at Ellen Road, but we seem to just have this impetus at Ellen Road. There seems to be something. We seem to be galvanised by the crowd, but it is the same performance away from home consistently. And at the end there, we saw obviously Joseph force the winner, which was cracking to see, and vindication for him after the absolute disgraceful sub, in my opinion, on 63 minutes, which we'll get into. Yeah, listen, Leeds not good in this game, were they?
No, they weren't, Connor. It's like you say, you know, at least we've not lost, and we shouldn't really be saying that. I mean, the great news is we are top of the table, and I think we're averaging two points a game, aren't we? What are we on, 42?
Not away from home.
So not away from home, but over the course of the season. And usually if you're averaging 2 points a game, you're going up, you know. Didn't quite work out that way, as we know, last season, but that's usually the tail of the tape.
So if that's the case, what's the problem then?
But what it is, Connor,
people tell you that. People tell you
that Leeds just expect to go away from home and pick up the points with minimum effort. It doesn't seem to have a plan as to how to run out and win these games. And he throws on predictable. Was it predictable putting Bamford on? Probably not, but it's a poor substitution. You know, the lad goes on there and he misses an absolute sitter. He tries to be fancy, misses a sitter, and he could have easily side-footed it in. Would have won the game if he'd have just turned up and done his job. I don't know what it is. Farker just doesn't seem to have his head round this idea of playing away from home, and it just seems all too easy just to send his players out at Ellen Road and Leeds pick up the points because they've got 33, 34 crazy Leeds fans supporting the team and being the 12th man. That's all he needs to do at home, and that's what's really put us in this position where we are currently top of the league. Don't know what it is. They don't have vigour. They don't have the same kind of impetus. They don't seem to be coached properly. They don't have a game plan whenever they're playing away from home. And it's going to be a problem come the end of the season.
I think it will, because we're looking at these sort of performances. And if we just have a quick look now, we'll go from Plymouth 3-0 at home. So you beat Plymouth with a really good performance. But just before that, Sheffield United, we beat them 2-0. We then beat Watford 2-1. These are all at home. Bristol City 0-0. So listen to this. Bristol City 0-0. Leeds 3. Plymouth 0 at home. Yeah. Next game, Millwall 1, Leeds 0. Next game, Leeds 2, QPR 0. Next game, Swansea 3, Leeds 4, which we have to be honest, could have gone either way, that one. Wasn't a vintage Leeds performance. Next game, an unbelievable 3-0 against Luton. The game after that, Blackburn 1, Leeds 0. Game after that, Leeds 2, Derby 0. Game after that, Leeds 3, Middlesbrough 1. And then you got a Preston and put in a performance of which I don't know. I'm really struggling with it. I think the start of the game, we were talking about this, and we were saying that for me, in a transitional game like that, of which, you're showing something a little bit different. I understand Farke doesn't want to put wingers in central second midfield, which for me confuses the life out of me. I don't know if you've got a winger who has tendencies that would be beneficial in a number 10, Solomon, close control, good strike on him with both feet. Willian Yonto the same, Ramazani the same, good close control, able to get a foul in those pockets, move the ball a lot quicker and sharper and more dynamically, in my opinion, than Aronson. I don't know why you can't transition that into the middle of the field. They all invert anyway, so that's confusing for me. And what I would say there is, in this game in particular, we've been talking about away from home, Ramazani coming in and causing them so many problems. We saw Cardiff at the beginning of the season, transitionally, where he was a massive problem. Norwich, where he played against them, where he was a massive problem and got a goal. 3 goals in 6 games, but away from home, he was excellent. I don't understand why we are wedded to having Aronson and Peru away from home. We can talk about at home, the pressure been off a little bit, Leeds been good at home, but away from home, Aronson and Peru doesn't work. We've seen that for so many times this season right now. And I just feel with a workhorse up top in Matteo Joseph, just a workhorse to find the pockets of space to compete with the centre-backs, the runner, the sharpness. And I just feel you have that, and then you've got the quality in Ramazani. We're saying it, but on the build-up pre-game, and it's again, Peru. It's again Aronson away from it, and it's just so predictable, as we said.
Yeah, I know. We're not happy with. Well, you're certainly not happy with Peru, but there's probably before he sends on his substitutions, Connor, there's probably 9 players on that pitch playing for Leeds who are not doing what they should be doing. They're not putting any kind of performance. There's no vigor or zip or anything like that, or any kind of invention to the game. They've got to hold their hands up and really question their own performance.
Yeah, the players.
There were two players that really were trying to make a difference. In Dan James and Bogle, they were on that pitch really trying to drive Leeds forwards and to make the difference, so they can be excluded from that criticism. But you've got to put Farke in amongst that. He's the guy that sends them out on the pitch, and it's just unacceptable. So, I know we'll beat up, or you will beat up Peru a little bit, but there's 9 players on that pitch that are just not standing up. They're not standing up for Leeds and putting in the performance they should be, because that team, that 11 that he started with, Connor, are way and above, way better than Preston. Way better than Preston, and it's just not good enough.
So is it Preston been up for it a little bit more? Is it Preston just have? Is it an easier game plan? Is it the fact that they have to get their percentages a little bit better on the counter attack? Because in that first half, Leeds went 30. I think it was the full half. I think the full half didn't have a shot on goal. So when you're not having a shot on goal with all the talent and the money that we've got going forward, and then Preston are able to find the pockets. It was easy.
It was easy for them, wasn't it? Really, all they did was just send those guys out on the pitch, and they just defended, and it was easy. And you could argue that Preston didn't really get out of third gear the whole game. They played it with a certain lethargy in the game, but they just marshalled the positions well. They did what they needed to do to get through the game. And let's be honest, up until the 93rd minute, they had it won.
Yeah, they've done everything, hadn't they?
We showed no craft, no invention, no vigour. There's no zip about the team. And we're top of the league. We've got to be happy about that. But these performances away from home, Connor, I don't understand.
I think it's because of how we look at it a lot of the time. It's not really sure. Me and you are long-term thinkers, which, is a detriment to us, of course, sometimes, because you don't really enjoy the moment sometimes. But I think when you're long-term looking at it right now, You've got to iron out those away performances. I keep saying this on the channel. It puts so much strain and pressure on those home results, especially if it goes down to the wire, especially if it's between you, but you and Burnley. Let's say if Sheffield United pull away, if it's between us and Burnley, the strain that is put on those home performances because Leeds aren't able to get the average up away from home. That's the worrying thing. It's the long-term projection of this. We might look at it now and might think, oh, it's a point, fantastic, and you live in the moment. It's short-term thinking.
Right. But good point, Conor,
but the issue is when you're looking at this, the form right now is a pattern. It's a trend for me. And when you get these patterns and trends, and we've seen it last season because we've won 9 games away from home in 25 appearances, there's a fundamental issue there. And I don't know what it is, but the manager and the players as well, not just the manager, but they've got to sort it out. But he's not helping himself, in my opinion, with his selections and the intensity. If you start improving, if you start in Aaronson, that's fine. But you need some vindication from that, in my opinion, especially when you're looking at Brendan away from home at this moment in time. As I said, everybody contextualizing it, I think away from home and home are clearly 2 different games for Leeds. So you've got to manage the squads for that, haven't you, rotation-wise?
And it's like you've just said there, and you're quite right. What it does is it actually starts to put pressure on home games. The lads know that they've got to go out there and they've got to put in a performance, a very good performance, to get a home win, because they know there's every chance that when they go away next, they're not going to get a win based on current form. So it does put an awful lot of pressure. And then we think about the next home game. Is it Oxford, Connor? I think we've got up next. Now, on paper, you'd be saying, this should be a 3-4-0 win. I don't think it's going to be that way. We'll put in a performance, we'll get the win, but I can see that game getting to the 60th minute and it's still going to be tight between the 2 teams. Let's hope we can get a couple of early goals and we can put that one to bed just like we did against Watford, because that turned out to be a bit of a challenge. So it does. I think you make a really good point there. It just puts some real pressure on the home performances. There's having to get that win because, let's be honest, they're just not clicking at all away from home. God knows why.
For Farker's sake says, fuming despite that late goal, Leeds way off the pace today. Preston played away Wednesday in Wales. Sloppy and pedestrian against a poor side, not good enough. Yeah, can't disagree with that. He also said, did we play PNE or Barca? Because that refereeing, we've got to touch on that refereeing. That's probably the worst refereeing performance I think I've ever seen at championship level. And we've seen some bad ones. The Whiteman one, which is somehow not a second yellow card. It'd have been a straight red, in my opinion. He went over the ball. He was out of control. He was reckless. It's a red card, at least a second yellow card afterwards as well. You were raging during the game, but afterwards he's joking with Liam Lindsay. He's joking with the striker who had a good game, didn't he? He's joking with Robbie Brady. I couldn't actually believe what I was seeing. Every single 50-50 was going for them. We're not just blaming that. I'm not using that as an excuse. We don't do that on this channel. We never blame the referees, and it wasn't his fault that we lost the game, but his performance was absolutely atrocious. He lost the game in the first 30 minutes, didn't he?
It really did, and it's suspicious. I actually thought it was very, very suspicious the way in which he was interacting with their players, and the fact that he decided not to give a second. It should have been a straight red. Was it Whiteman, Con? I think it was Whiteman, wasn't it? Should have been a straight. They realised that he was running a tightrope because obviously they substituted him, didn't they? But that performance from the referee needs to be looked into, and it won't be. But it needs to be looked into. It's an absolute disgrace. But I've got to be honest, Connor, even if he was sent off, we're still putting that performance in. Do you think that would have given us an advantage on the day against Preston? It wouldn't have done.
No, I don't think it would.
We'd have had 11 players on the pitch. They'd have had 10. The result would have been the same.
Yeah, it felt like it in that game. It really did. It felt like it was just Leeds knocking on the door, of which we weren't thoroughly doing that. Now, there's a different sort of comment here. Aragon has said it was a performance of 2 halves. First, we were rubbish. Second, we did really well. So let's break that down. I think first, we were garbage. Second, I'd say we were better. I think you could tell towards the back end of that second half in particular. There's 2 questions there. Is that because Preston are then just defending a lead? Or is it, we're not really bothered about getting that second goal? Or is it Leeds actually putting it onto them? I would expect, Aragon, if I'm honest with you, Leeds to be putting the impetus on them with the amount of players that we had on the pitch, the talent that we have on the pitch. So I'd kind of expect that. Aaronson wasted 2 chances. Bamford missed the sitter. DJ hit the bar. We deserved more. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, when you put it that way, Bamford's never going to score in a month of Sundays, is he? Unless it comes off his backside. It was a lucky effort from Dan James. I thought he was probably our man of the match today because, he was doing his job. He was getting forward. He was creating problems. it was a bit of it was a nice effort, but it was a deflection at the end of the day. Maybe that's what spooned it onto the bar. You know, Aronson should have certainly hit the target in the first half, shouldn't he? Should have forced some kind of effort. So I don't know. Do we deserve all 3 points based on what they?
Did we get 3 points?
So no, sorry. Did we deserve 3 points?
No, I'm saying to you,
we got a point, didn't we? So we kind of fluked our way out of that at the end. But I think with the chances that were mentioned just there, we certainly didn't deserve 3 points.
Aragon, we didn't get 3 points. We can make excuse after excuse after excuse. I know we've just spoken about the referee there, mate, and we've spoken about this, that, and the other. But we can make as many excuses as we want. We've got to this point now of which the away form has to improve. It really does have to improve to average out toward the back end of the season if we are to get into the top 2. Not the top 3, not playoffs, top 2. Because right at this moment in time, the average points per game is putting a hell of a lot of pressure on Leeds United at home, which we don't want that to end up like it did at the back end of last season with Blackburn, Sunderland and Southampton, because that didn't turn out well for Leeds. It has to be, we have to start bailing out the side away from home as well. Yeah. It has to happen.
Yeah, absolutely right there again, you know, because we could see the way that was panning out last season. You know, they became must-win games for us at home. You know, we knew that if we won those games at home, we were going to go up automatically, and that put an awful lot of pressure on the players, and it didn't happen. And that same kind of pressure is going to be even more intense this year. You know, if we're chasing games at home, and we know that we've got to be winning these games at home because the away form's so poor, that's going to build up exactly that same kind of pressure that we were experiencing last year. And we don't want to be in that position, do we?
You want to get to a stage, and this is what I'm saying. It's like it's almost giving. This is what I'm saying with like standards and expectations. For me, they're up here with the side that we have a kid. I always say this on every single stream, and the notion that it's okay to pick a point up away from home against Preston. It's okay to pick up a point away against Bristol City, but then a lot of fans are still comparing us with Sheffield United. A lot of fans are still comparing us with Burnley. Well, to compare us with Burnley and Sheffield United, you know, their average across the season right now probably is looking like it'll be a bit better than ours, just determined on the fact that, you know, you're expecting teams to pick up form, obviously, in stages. We'll have good form, they'll have bad form, and it'll go like that throughout the whole season. But the whole point of that is, and the point I'm getting at right now is they're proving a little bit more consistently that they can win away from home and pick up those points as well. Leeds have more than enough right now, but I think the problem is it's those standards are nowhere near good enough on the road. Go on, should we get into the actual? Farke says FFS for Farke's sake. Farke was the only one who got booked from that tackle. Jamie says, can we discuss why we are bringing on Patrick Bamford still? Helveter says, hit the like button. Yeah, cheers, mate. Look. I'll let you.
I don't know. I mean, for me, he's shot his bolt with Leeds. You know, Bamford to me should be the forgotten man. Yeah, is he a useful person to have on the bench to throw on at the last? I don't know. I don't know if you know, maybe we need to go out and recruit another striker if we're having to rely on him as a last ditch man to try and get us out of trouble. I mean, what time did he come on, Connor? Was it about the 63rd, 65th minute, something like that? But it just sends out completely the wrong message to Matteo Joseph when you bring on a spent force like Patrick Bamford. And let's be honest, he threw him on there. I don't know why, but he threw him on there because he thought he'd have a chance of getting us back into the game. Well, he had a prime chance of doing that, and look what happened. You know, he tries a fancy trick, you know, half a yard out. How he missed that, I'll never know. Even with a fancy back kick, I really don't understand how he missed that. Why he's playing Bamford, I don't know. It suggests to me that he's grasping at straws, and again, he doesn't really have a plan moving forwards. Maybe it suggests to me that he's not fully convinced that Joseph is the man. And if he's not fully convinced that Joseph isn't the man, then we need to be going out in January and buying someone.
I think that's it. I think that's what we've got to look at right now. I think, look, we've come on here plenty of times and we've backed Joseph as a horse. I've given my reasons as to why I think we should do that. But it's probably getting to a stage now where you're definitely going to be getting Joseph's agent on the phone. He's going to be chatting to Leeds. He's going to be saying, why am I getting 8 minutes and you're putting on Patrick Bamford for, you know, when I'm coming on as a substitute, I don't get that many minutes, you know, generally. I know he started against Borough, but as a substitute this season, I mean, you don't really come on in the 63rd minute. We all know that because we all know he makes subs in the 70th minute and sort of 82nd, 83rd minute when it's not quite working. So I reckon I'd be stunned if Joseph's agent wasn't on the phone, agitated annoyed at what's going on at this moment in time. Just probably a little bit confused. And listen, we're not saying he's pulling up trees. We're not saying that he's not banging in the goals. That has to be said. But what we can say about that is away from home, stylistically, I think he'd have really brought Leeds into the game, held the ball up well in this game. I think styles make fights. I think Perot's better at home. I think Joseph's better away. And I think that's how you divvy the minutes. So putting Patrick Bamford on it's a complete insult.
Well,
it's a complete insult.
Connor. Look who forced the equaliser. We actually thought Joseph had put that ball in the back of the net when we saw it in real time. He was a Johnny on the spot. It wasn't Bamford. He was there where the ball was played in. He knew instinctively where he needed to be, where he expected that ball to be placed, and he was there. And he forced that error upon their defender. Now, to me, this by sending Patrick Bamford on that pitch, he's clearly saying that.
Did he do it ahead of him against Blackburn as well?
Well, he's clearly saying.
I think he did it against Blackburn as well.
A fully fit Patrick Bamford is a head start ahead of Joseph. That's what he's saying. He's saying that.
Yeah.
Now, to me, that's a problem for us. If you've got Joe Perone is not clicking like he wasn't today, and then your second man comes on and it's Patrick Bamford, we've got a problem.
Yeah,
it's bizarre. We sat on top of the league, but it's the second half of the season now. We've got ourselves in a really good position. The second half of the season is not that far away. We're turning around. We're getting back. We're heading towards a home straight, Connor. And those games in January, February are going to come thick and fast, and the league's going to shape itself up. You can't do it with Patrick Bamford coming on the pitch supporting Joe Perot. They need to go out and they need to buy a striker if that's the case.
Well, I think you're right. I think now you've got to look at it, and I think just in answering that question, I think you've got to do something with Jose. If he's not sold on him, which I don't think he is, I think today's even more indicative of that. I think you've got to do something with him in January. I'd be gutted. I'd be gutted to see him go. I think I still stay with the fact that I think he'll work out, but he's not getting the minutes. I think his career will stagnate at this point. And I know we're not Joseph FC, we're Leeds United, but I genuinely believe there's a talent there that we can work with. And I feel like his career is going to stagnate right now. So if he's putting Pat Bamford on ahead of him, I think it's just the ultimate insult. So for me, and look, I don't think, Bamford came on, he was getting on the end of things, guys. Of course he was, but Bamford's brought on to score a goal. And how many times have we seen this in the best part of 6-7 years when he comes on and there's a gilt-edged chance and he misses it? In 2 games now, look, I know he's not scored, Joseph, but he forced the action for the first goal against Borough, of which there wouldn't have been a goal there for William Johnson to bumble in the net, and he forced the action there for the equaliser, So, look, it is what it is. Let's not get too bogged down on that anyway.
Sorry, Connor, just on that Joseph thing, I wouldn't be looking at letting him go.
This is the whole point. It's not. I don't want that to come across in a way of like, we should be letting him go. I think I don't know if they can keep him there if he's making moves like that, the manager. If he's making moves like that, I don't know if they can keep him there. Would Joseph be happy with that? I'm not sure. There was a room that there was 16 clubs in for him in the summer. In January, some club's going to come look at Joseph and say, do you know what? He's not getting any game time. They're seeing Patrick Bamford get on ahead of him. He's not happy. His agent's been in our ear. So let's go for it and see if Leeds accepts. So, but if he's not, if we're not seeing enough momentum from him, if he's not, if he's playing 90 minutes, then he's playing 8 minutes. Yeah. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
As a club, though, that's where we need to remain strong. So if we do go out and buy a striker, I don't think we will. I don't think that's what they'll do. They'll stick with what they've got. But to me, looking at this objectively, if you're going to play that donkey, as a second option to Perot, we should be looking at a striker. I don't think they will, and I also don't think they'll be looking at bringing in a goalkeeper, which is another subject.
Yeah, 100%. We'll get on to the goalkeeper in just a little bit. Liam says, we'll smash Oxford next week and look like world beaters again. It's like being in Groundhog Day watching Leeds this season. And that's the thing, you've then got to go to Stoke. So we kind of see the patterns here, don't we? We'll batter Oxford. I genuinely believe we will do.
Do you think we will? I don't think we'll batter them. I can see it being another derby performance where we're knocking on the door for God knows how long. Eventually we score and then we might win it by 2 goals. I don't see them being battered.
I think we'll beat them comfortably. I think we'll beat them. I think 2-0. Yeah, you're probably right. It's not going to be Leeds don't seem to put Maulings in, do they? It'll be a 2-0. But then when you're looking at it, then the whole focus, and I think the fans are going to start being worried now because, like I say, you kind of have to now be etching your home wins up. You have to be an Oxford. You have to then look at Blackburn, early January. You have to beat Blackburn early January because if you don't do that, you're going to go away from home. And if you're going away from home and slipping up like we are doing, which is now a trend, it's a problem.
Also, Connor, what we haven't spoken about is this run of games that we've got coming up in comparison to the run of games our direct opponents have got coming up as well. And we know, for example, that Sheffield United have got a string of difficult games coming up. And so have Burnley. Yeah. And we've actually got a relatively easy run over the next 4 or 5 games where we should be picking up points. And this is an opportunity for us to pull away.
Of course it is.
You know, and games like today was a real opportunity for us to put a marker in the sand and for us to start to build a lead, you know, throw another couple of points into the bag. But that's what should have been the case today. So it's important that we put a run together over the next 4 or 5 games because we're going to have a difficult patch. And I think our patch is coming up January time, Connor, I think, where we're running into a difficult stretch of games. So we need to start putting these points away, especially away. It's going to become harder at home.
Yeah, 100%. Stephen, I think, was at the game today and he said worrying how many fans to the away game support Bamford was getting a lot of chance at the game today. He commented a little bit above as well.
But saying that, you know, you'd expect the fans to get behind a Leeds player, wouldn't you? You're going to expect that.
But I think the point he's making is Joseph scored and he went, oh, well, he's only 1 yard out. So this is a problem. I think it's the problem. I think Joseph's getting a lot of flack because of minute management.
Patrick Bamford was half a yard out and he missed his opportunity, didn't he? Yeah. So he was half a yard out and he missed his opportunity. Yeah. Joseph was in the right. So it wasn't Patrick Bamford that forced that error, Connor, at the end, was it? It wasn't Patrick Bamford.
No,
he was somewhere else, but he wasn't where he needed to be there.
Right. Well, let's get on to like the just the chronologicals. Trying to put him out. Dog's just having a bit of a bark, but yeah, let's have a little bit of a chronological look at the game. The first half, look, not great. Second half, a little bit of an improvement, don't get me wrong. But I thought Solomon was good when he came on, bit of a positive. I thought he was a bright spark when he came on.
Me too, yeah, he really was. He was very threatening, wasn't he? Yeah. I thought when he came on really did make a big difference to us. Yeah. And I think maybe again, if Farke could have read the game a little bit better, if he'd have thrown Manor Solomon on again, maybe it picked up a knock. I don't know. Maybe he was only good for 10 minutes towards the end of the game. Who knows? You know, but based on what he did contribute and the amount of vigor that he showed as a player when he came on, could have come on a little bit earlier. We might have come over the win today. Yeah,
I thought he was good. I thought he was really good when he came out. And do you know what? Manor Solomon, I have to say this, I'm going to put this out there. I think he's been much improved. Yeah, I think he's been much, much improved. And for a player of which I didn't think it was ever going to hit the heights, I think at the minute when he's coming on, he's showing a lot. And I think he's even the Middlesbrough game when he came on, getting the ball in tight pockets, winning fouls, not losing the ball and getting leads at the pitch. I think Manor Solomon has actually been a real positive.
He's actually shown a great attitude as well because he's not thinking as Mr. Big Man, you know, he's a Premier League player who's out on loan. I think he's got his head around what Farke has been asking him to do and he's handled that very, very well. He's been very professional about it. But that kind of also leans a little bit on what we should be doing with Ramazani now, Connor, as well. Because having watched him at the start of the season before he picked up his injury, it seemed to me that he needed 2 or 3 games on the trot with proper game time before he really started to get into his stride. So he needed minutes on the pitch. That's what I saw in his first little spell before he became injured. Now, it seems pretty obvious that he needs that again. And he's not currently getting that with Farke. He's not starting with him.
Someone said here as well, and thoughts on Solomon in the centre attacking midfield role. That lovely little slow centre of gravity, getting the ball in.
And Ramazani can do exactly that as well. So we've got players there. And he's absolutely, and I've been calling this for a while now, that we need to show more invention and we can't simply be going down the flanks all the time. That's an option for us, but not the only option. And he can provide that down the middle, just like Ramazani can. But Ramazani needs the minutes, Connor.
Needs minutes. Yeah, of course he does.
He needs minutes. You can't just be throwing him on as a sub. He needs minutes to start to build up his game. And we could see it before he got his injury. It was an absolute menace. Yeah, he needs the minutes.
Well, he does. Ramazani is your obvious one. He's your obvious one on that transition away from home as well. But for me, guys, there's a certain way you set up at home. You set at home with a workhorse up top. 100% you need him to score. Of course you do. But not only that, we don't want to focus on that too much. But Ramazani in that transition, the pace. For me, you can't go forward. You can't go to Stoke with Aronson in the cam and Perot up front. It just doesn't work. They're too out the game. They're not involved enough, and they're not. For me, they're not affecting proceedings enough to be starting. And I think Farke said, someone's mentioned that Farke said they won't play a winger in cam. Well, that's that's going to be a big problem for him. It's going to be a big problem if he doesn't do that, because he's got 3 players who can play there. Nonso today, a lot of people are not happy at Willie Nonso today. Your thoughts on his performance?
Well, again, is one of the 9. You know, to me, he offered something. You know, he offered something, didn't he? There was a bit of a spark when there was no sparks coming from anywhere else on the pitch. So you felt that if Nonso, you know, there was a couple of times where he got down the left and he was getting himself into promising positions and it just sort of petered out. At least he was trying. He was giving it a go. Some of you might interpret it as being a little bit half-hearted, but really it was generally a half-hearted performance all over the pitch. And I actually think he was better than most of them.
Yeah, Adam Crafton at The Athletic. Leeds cannot continue starting Perot in away games. A couple of Twitter accounts saying it's slightly funny now how fans are almost dining out on that being an own goal at the end, which is quite sad, to be honest. We all want our players to do well. Unfortunately, just some players are not good enough, and we all want the greater good for Leeds United, which, you know, I think we're always trying to find solutions on this channel. But I think we have to talk about. I can't remember if we did it at the end of it. It doesn't feel like we did, but we're going to talk about the goalkeeper. I think I've tried to leave this as long as I can. Go on. It's
schoolboyish stuff again. You know, is this the 4th or 5th game this season where we can pin points losses directly on his back? You know, you could argue that it kept us in the game against Borough, and I think he probably did. You know, that really good save from Doak, right? That could have been different for us that particular game. But again, I think we've spurned 2 points today because of a performance from Ilan Meslier, but we know nothing will change. Just like we know nothing will change in terms of when he decides to bring on his subs. It is the way it is, Connor, and we're going to end up, you know, having more conversations like this throughout the rest of the season when Mellier's dropping points for the team. It could be crucial.
Paul, Pascal to blame just as much as Meslier for the goal. Look, I know he was out of position, mate, but for me, the Pascal getting spun by the centre forward is very, very high up the pitch still for Leeds to recover and for Leeds to keep that ball out the back of the net. I know what you're saying in terms of Pascal didn't shower himself in glory for that. For me,
sorry, Connor. The way, I mean, in a way, he has got a point there, because the way in which they broke out, you know, from their penalty box, they did break very quickly. We were caught extremely flat-footed, and we just didn't respond quick enough. So we're put in a situation there where really we should have been dealing with that positional play from them way better than we did do. And for me, Potts, all he was trying to do was an excellent ball in over from the right. It was hit very well. I think from his perspective,
was it just a good goal?
I think all he wanted to do, Connor, was get the shot on goal. That's what he wanted to do. He didn't want it spooning out Aronson style, you know, 3 yards to the left and above the goal. And he did. He got it on target. He did his job. That should have been it. It should have been either knocked out to the side for a corner, or he should have been able to grab that ball without any kind of problem. And it's very, very poor, you know, very, very poor. I'm sick of seeing it. He's just not good enough at this level.
Yeah, I think it was an excellent cross into the striker's path. The striker gets it on target. Well, it's not striker, it's a midfielder in Potts. Guys, he's got to serve it. He's got to serve that. He's straight at him. He's hit it with his shin. It's another absolute howler. Don't let anybody tell you elsewise. Michael Cooper at Sheffield United, does that go in? No. James Trafford at Burnley, does that go in? It never goes in the month of Sundays. This is why I keep talking, and we keep talking about in January, getting those incremental advantages in terms of getting your squad to that level of which you can almost eradicate stuff like that, the negatives. Going out and getting a goalkeeper, if you can sell him for the money that we've been talking about on the rumour mill this week and go in and get a Cooper, bear in mind, a Michael Cooper cost Sheffield United £2 million. £2 million. Goalkeepers aren't that expensive, especially if you look at the good ones in the lower leagues who, you know, have almost got points to prove, and they're hungry as well. You are not losing anything with this side, with going out. And people have said, it's going to disrupt it. The guy's not going to disrupt it. It ain't going to disrupt anything.
Goalkeeper just slots straight
and you made a very, very good point. There was a chance in the second half where the ball was pinged over the top. Instead of going back to the goalkeeper, you could see Jayden Bogle in two minds. And this is a whole problem now because the defence don't have any confidence in him whatsoever, unless we've got the ball at the back and we're building up and Melee doesn't touch the ball throughout the game. But yeah, look, we're going to continue seeing this, guys. We're going to just continue seeing it.
And there's no argument to say, well, he's had so many clean sheets throughout the season. because just like we can blame Strike as that contributor's just done there, he said it was much Strike's issue that as it was the goalkeepers. You've also got to look at it the other way around as well. There's going to be times there where the back four just does not have any kind of confidence and
having a bad game, having bad games.
Don't have any kind of confidence in a goalkeeper like that. And I personally think you can go out, you can buy a goalkeeper. It's a different position to outfield playing, and you can get a good goalkeeper, and we can slot him straight into the team. All you need to do is make sure that goalkeeper has got a better way of distributing the ball and can actually knock the ball out to players. Most goalkeepers can play football nowadays. We should be able to go out, get a good goalkeeper for 5 or 6 million quid and slot him straight into that team in January without any kind of problem.
Yeah, 100%. Let's get into a few more comments before we end up. Okay, why Schmidt doesn't start with Byram is the biggest mystery. Byram is too afraid to use his left foot and struggles to get forward and always cuts back. Yeah, Jack, I think on his right, we've always said this on the channel, haven't we? On the right, really rate Bamford. Don't mind him at all on that right side, as we saw against Borough. But on that left-hand side, especially when he's been pressed on his touch, he will always cut back, unfortunately. Okay, have we got anything else to touch on? What are you thinking? Sujal says, how will we ever survive in the Premiership? I think, Sujal, we've got to iron out this form first, mate. We've got to... Yeah, we can't be looking that far ahead, but I know he's right.
He's right. You're looking at your present squad and you're thinking how many of these could do as a job in the Premier League. How many do you think? Maybe 2 or 3.
Well, I thought last season. I thought when you genuinely looked at it, I thought we had like an actual team where if we'd have gone up last season, I reckon there could have been maybe more in. I think it's a more balanced side now. I do think it's a more balanced side. Well, in all fairness, I think both teams maybe you're probably looking at maybe 4. But if you're looking at it, I still think Rothwell could do a job up there. I think Ampadu could do a job up there. Tanaka. So you got the midfielder. I think it's a Premier League midfield when you're looking at other midfields up there. Southampton, Ipswich, and stuff like that. But
remember, Rothwell's not our man. So
Rothwell's not our man.
We'd have to persuade Southampton to do it. But I think he could do a job.
I still think I agree with what everyone's saying. I think the consistency. I think you're still looking at Nonto and Ramazani. If they're able to edge up that consistency, I think they're Premier League players.
Yeah, I do too. Probably 4 or 5.
4 or 5, but it's Leeds need surgery if they go up. Honestly,
and this is another reason why I know you can buy a goalkeeper. You can slot a goalkeeper, I think, pretty quickly into the team quite successfully. But really, it would be nice to think that we could bring in a decent keeper come January. So he's a fully fledged member of the squad and he understands the squad for us going into a new Premier League season if we get there. Yeah.
Completely agree. All right, guys, we've been live for about 40 minutes now, and we've been there for the watch along as well. Leeds drawing away at Preston. It could have been a lot worse. Positive to end it, Dad?
Yeah, we're top of the league, Connor. That's a big positive. I know it's all down to the home form, but we are top of the league, at least for the next, hour or two. That's a positive. We're picking up 2 points a game on average. We're getting close to that 70 goal for the season mark, over the number of games that we've played. So, some things are working. Lots of other teams in the league now will be looking at us and saying that they're so entitled, aren't they, down at Leeds? Look at them moaning on about that performance. And there they are, sat top of the league. And we are. We just know that there's so much more that can come from this squad. Okay, so positives are, we are where we are in the league, we're top, but there's an awful lot to work on.
Awful lot. All right, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. We'll see you tomorrow with the 3 things. We'll have a bit on the results coming tomorrow as well. It's been an absolute pleasure. See you in a bit. Cheers.